Hello, Director Pericon and Monica. How are you
Hello.
doing?
Hello.
Fine, fine, thank you.
Very nice to see you here and to have you join us today. So before our interview, I think we can quickly introduce ourselves, and I can start first. So my name is Hongxi Zhao, the War Monument Fund Program Manager, and I'm working for WF's conservation project in Asia. And quickly to say that War Monument Fund is a international nonprofit organization devoted to protection of the treasure places in the world. And Director Perico?
Intanto grazie per questo interesse verso il nostro progetto di salvaguardia del teatro dell'Opera dei Pupi siciliana. Il progetto che abbiamo presentato di salvaguardia dell'Opera dei Pupi fondamentalmente consisteva.
Thank you for your interest in our project for the safeguarding of the Sicilian Opera dei Pupi Theatre. The project we designed to safeguard the Opera dei Pupi consisted in pooling together the Pupi companies throughout the creation of a network. This network is headed by the Antonio Pasqualino International Puppet Museum of Palermo, Sicily, which I direct, and was created together with the 13 Sicilian Opera dei Pupi theatre companies which are currently active in Sicily. A few years ago, we suggested the Italian Ministry of Culture adopt plans for the safeguarding of the intangible cultural heritage. In fact, ours is the first plan to be drafted in Italy. Following our suggestion, the Ministry of Culture included such plans among the obligations that all other elements inscribed and included in the UNESCO representative list of intangible heritage have. The project is very complex and articulated. It brings together the history of this element, the Sicilian traditional puppet theatre, which was inscribed in a program that preceded the 2003 Convention on the Intangible Heritage. This previous program was the 2001 list of masterpieces of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity and was an experimental program of the 2003 Convention.
Articolato che mette insieme la storia di questo elemento, che ripeto è l'Opera dei Pupi siciliana, che è stata iscritta in un programma preliminare alla Convenzione del 2003 sul patrimonio immateriale, che è il programma dei patrimoni orali e immateriali dell'umanità, che è stato poi realizzato come programma sperimentale della Convenzione 2003 nel 2001, quindi l'Opera dei Pupi rientra tra quelle poche tra quei pochi elementi che l'UNESCO fin dall'inizio.
The Opera dei Pupi is thus one of those few elements that the UNESCO agreed to safeguard since the very beginning, before the official approval of the 2003 Convention. 20 years have passed from then to now. In these 20 years, the UNESCO 2003 Convention has made great progress. There has been a great debate on this subject and on the Opera dei Pupi as well. Through its engagement, the Museum of Palermo has always been at the forefront, and its safeguarding plan, as well as the Europa Nostra award it has received, further confirm this, if there was any need.
Europa Nostra, come dire, lo confermano ulteriormente, ammesso che ce ne fosse bisogno. Dico questo perché è importante sottolineare anche come questo piano delle misure di salvaguardia sia stato e sia diventato una best practice riconosciuta da parte di Europa Nostra.
I say this because it is important to emphasize that this safeguarding plan, in fact, has been recognized as best practice by Europa Nostra. We conceived it as a replicable project, and in fact, many other Italian elements inscribed in the representative list are now adopting safeguarding plans and are inspired by the Opera dei Pupi's plan that we have made public and available open at source for all those who want to consult and study it. This is very important for us because it shows how the work that is done in the so-called periphery of the empire, where we are, has a lot of positive implications for the overall world of the intangible heritage of humanity as well. This is one of the main reasons for receiving this award.
Diciamo, il mondo complessivo del patrimonio immateriale dell'umanità. Allora, soprattutto diciamo, riferita al discorso dell'UNESCO. Allora, questo a mio avviso è uno dei motivi, diciamo, importanti di questo progetto.
Well, Director Pericone has already gone inside the topic of today's interview. We both thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about this project. Professor Pericone is the responsible for this research project. He's the director of the Antonio Pasqualino International Puppet Museum of Palermo and of the Association for the Safeguarding of Popular Traditions, which is the formal subject that founded the museum and actually carried out all the activities related to this project. My name is Monica Campo, and I was involved in this project as editorial officer, and I'm also charged of all activities concerning education inside the museum and project management. And well, thank you.
Thank you. It's great. So thank you for both of you, especially the director, give us a very quick, brief background of your project, and so follow up that his response. I would like to know a bit more about your rationale, your strategy, and the objective and goal of this project. So can you add a bit more information to share with us?
Yeah, well, this project, in a way, finds its origin in the needs of the heritage community. First of all, this is the first element that led the association to think of how supporting the heritage community and how safeguarding the Opera dei Pupi, which is not an old tradition. It goes back to the 19th century, and in the mid-20th century was in deep crisis. In those years, the association was established, and probably the establishment of the association was the first safeguarding measure to be adopted, since its project, its activities have always been strictly connected to the heritage community and to their needs. Now, a lot has been done by both the association and the heritage community to safeguard this heritage, and especially to safeguard the intergenerational transmission process that is mainly based on the performative activity, because it's when puppeteers perform that they transform into real action of the heritage they hold. It's during the performance that the puppeteer's apprentice can have the opportunity to learn this heritage. Sicilian puppeteers often say that their apprentices are stealing their heritage, their knowledge, and it's during the performance that this happens, because it's during the performance that the apprentice can observe and listen to his master, and by consequence start to learn. Of course, there will be also a time when he will also practice, and by consequence he will operate better the bows, and he will lend them his voice. So preserving, safeguarding this moment is absolutely priceless and essential to guarantee the life of the Opera dei Pupi. Now, after this crisis, a lot has been done in order to safeguard this moment. Notwithstanding, the heritage community and the association that is, a research center, mainly saw the lack of a program, a real and objective safeguarding program of the Opera dei Pupi. We needed to collect all these measures companies, put them together and try to find a new and fundamental connection with all the legal, administrative aspects of our society in order to really engage all stakeholders in the safeguarding of the Opera dei Pupi. So this is what is at the basis of this project. That an applied research project that was led between 2019 and 2020, and in the end, the result was the writing of a plan, of a document that was released in November 2020.
Got it. Thank you. This is great. So could you also share with us what were the particular qualities and innovations of this project that lead to win the Europa Nostra Prize?
Yeah, so this project was submitted in 2022 in the research section of the European Heritage Award, of the Europa Nostra Award. And this section was particularly focused on projects that had tangible effects. And this is something that particularly characterizes this plan. Some of the measures that were, or recommendations that are detailed in the plan have already been in a way transformed into action. Of course, this is not enough, but it seems that this plan and this project is having a certain echo here on the local level. And this is one of the main element. Another element is absolutely the constant participation and active participation of the heritage community that was involved in all phases of the project. So they were studied, but they studied. So there was this constant exchange between researchers and puppet companies. And Europa Nostra recognized in a way that this project could be considered a best practice example for the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage, but also for sustainable management of intangible cultural heritage. Because in fact, this plan has a lot to do with the management of the intangible cultural heritage of the Opera dei Pupi, and gives some indications about this management, how to manage this heritage, how to promote it, and how to safeguard in general, considering all the definition given by the ICH Convention 2003.
So following this question, have you ever encountered any difficulties, and what were your solutions and to make this project possible and successful?
Yeah, well, the main difficulty was the pandemics, because as I said, this project started in autumn 2019 and it ended in autumn 2020. The document was released in November 2020. So mostly all of the activities foreseen within the project took place during the pandemics. And this in a way obliged everybody to rethink these activities in order, first of all, just to get in touch with the companies, because also communication was sometimes difficult. So we also need to think that sometimes, the heritage community includes also old men. So it's not always easy just, to have a connection, to know how to use certain tools. We managed, of course, we did, and we actually intensified our meetings, of course, online meetings. And probably one of the most beautiful parts of this project is that in that very difficult period, the heritage community probably for the first time really perceived itself as a community, because until then there was a certain competition among the different companies during the pandemics, in that period where it seemed that nobody had voice, nobody could be listened really by authorities and by a civil society that was afraid of everything that was happening around us. They understood the importance of being together, of working together, of networking. And this made all these voices a real chorus, a chorus that started to communicate to everybody, very often through the museum. Very often it was the museum that tried to open some spaces online to let them say what they needed to say, and also to mediate with institutions, with local authorities.
That's great. That's great. Actually, I was thinking to ask you the question about during this global pandemic period, what are your activities on social media communication? But it thinks that you already give me the answer that through the social media outreach, it really created a new opportunity for raise awareness and call for a wider participation. So I think that's the really some lessons for other museum or for other heritage sites we can learn from your experience. So my next question will about the educational component in this project. So what would be your main focus in the future about education? Because in your paper, I think I read that you will submit your detailed strategic plan later this year. So can you specify a little bit about it?
So if we consider that education is the transmission of knowledge, of skills and competencies, we can say that the safeguarding plan of the Opera dei Pupi fully deals with this. And everything actually deals with the idea of transmission. First of all, transmission to the new generations of puppeteers. So the first element that is the core of the whole project and of the document, of the recommendations described in the document, is aimed to guarantee and safeguard the transmission. And when we think of this kind of transmission, of course, we cannot think of formal or non-formal education, but probably to informal education, because that is the real context where the new generation of puppeteers can learn. Notwithstanding, also formal and non-formal education, of course, is present in the plan. Consider that Part B of the document includes all the recommendations that we collected, we defined together with puppet companies. And while the first recommendation mainly focuses with the management of the Opera dei Pupi, the second one immediately introduces the theme of education and transmission. We are still trying to translate all these recommendations into actions, of course, and the detailed strategic plan you mentioned is actually now is being elaborated, and our association is working on this. It will be sent to the Italian Ministry of Culture by August 2023. Both plans were financed by the Italian Ministry of Culture according to law number 77 of 2006. The plan for the that was awarded with the Europa Nostra Award also drew on the technical and scientific recommendations of the UNESCO Office of the Italian Ministry of Culture. And in this detailed strategic plan that we are working on in these days, we are trying to plan activities, so to describe exactly what needs to be done in order to transform those recommendations into actions, and what needs to be done and when also. So we are in a way trying to plan all these actions in a short, mid or long term, according, of course, on the basis on the difficulty, on the challenge that each recommendation also requires.
Thank you. This is really inspiring, and your plan is very encouraging to us. So because we don't have much time left, but if you have any one last word you really want to share with our audience, or any information that we need to know before we visit your museum, now you can quickly share with us.
Yeah, well, I just can invite everybody to come here to visit our museum, where everybody can see objects, but also experience the live heritage of the Opera dei Pupi, and then discover all over Sicily the theaters and workshops, and explore this intangible heritage through the voices and stories told directly by all the puppet companies that are still fighting, we can say, here in Sicily.
Thank you so much, Director Perricone and Monica. Thank you for your time and for sharing your story with us. I believe our audience will appreciate that. Thanks again, and have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.